I want to start out today's episode with a little bit of a disclaimer that we're going to get spicy today. I don't usually love giving opinions of any sort publicly because I don't want to get hate. However, I feel like this is an episode that has been a long time coming and one that I am very passionate about. Welcome to Coffee and Conversions, the podcast for millennial moms building something meaningful alongside real life. We're talking web design, SEO, Pinterest, and organic marketing, the behind-the-scenes systems to help your business get seen without taking over your life. I'm Julie, the founder of P&W Designs. I'm a Minnesota mom working full-time in corporate America, actually in finance, while growing my business on the side. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that growth doesn't come along from doing more. It comes from doing what actually works. Most of my business ideas start with coffee, and this podcast is all about strategies that actually convert, hence coffee and conversions. It's not about hustle for the sake of hustle, and it's not about pretty things that don't perform. So grab your coffee, pop in your headphones, and let's get into today's episode. So, I've warned you, don't get offended. And now you're like, where is this going? Okay, so over the last few months, I have been seeing the same pattern repeat itself again and again. A business owner launches a brand new website. It's beautiful. It's elevated. It feels like one big step forward. And then I look at the back end of their site and it's a complete mess. Pages that used to rank will disappear. Inquiries will slow down. And suddenly the question becomes, how did launching a brand new site that is pretty make things worse? Well, this episode isn't about blaming web designers. It's not about shaming anyone for hiring the wrong person. But it is about naming the quiet red flags that I keep seeing, especially as more and more websites are being redesigned under the promise of being SEO ready, while really they're just doing the bare minimum. I am not saying you need to hire an SEO-led web designer like myself, but if your web designer isn't an SEO expert, then you may need to reconsider hiring that separately or making sure that you're hiring for copy that has SEO expertise. Because here's the thing, a site can look incredible and still quietly dismantle the years of organic momentum that you've built. So today I'm walking you through 3 red flags I'm seeing as we go into 2026, and I'm sharing real examples of what I've personally seen behind the scenes. Again, it's one of those proactive and protective episodes that I'm not meaning to be alarmist, I'm not being dramatic, but I do feel really passionate about this because the grounded truth is, you need to know what to look for before signing the contract and before investing thousands of dollars and before hitting publish on that redesign. So I want to be really clear about why this matters to me. I've been in rooms, literal and virtual, with business owners who did everything right. They invested in a high-end designer, they trusted the process, they were told their site was SEO ready, and they didn't get traffic. They didn't get organic growth, nor were they taught how to look for it. And one example stuck with me recently. A higher-end designer who charges twice the amount that I do launched a client site in December, and it was gorgeous. I love the design. It's clean, it felt very polished, but when I looked under the hood, their homepage had 5 H1 headers. 5. And on top of that, there was no clear keyword focus, no obvious page responsibility, no structure that told Google what the business actually did. And if you need a little refresher, H1 headers are your header on your webpage that tells Google what is the most important thing about your page. You're only supposed to have one. It's a site structure. It's a coding thing. Another time, someone asked me to take a look at their site for a quick second opinion. Out of curiosity, I ran parts of it through ChatGPT to make sure that ChatGPT understood what their business did. And it basically tests clarity. And guess what? AI had no idea what the business did. And if AI can't clearly tell you what your business is doing, it's not because the business isn't good. It's because the structure and copy were so generic and nothing human or machine could orient itself to what they actually do. So that's what we're talking about today. So red flag number 1 is when a web designer says, especially again, qualifier here is if you want your website to be seen on Google. Like, if you're like, I don't care, I don't want to be seen on search, I don't want to be seen by AI, then fine, whatever, ignore this episode. But if you want to be seen, if you want to get inquiries from places other than referrals and Instagram, then this is where it matters. Okay, so red flag number 1 is SEO ready with no explanation. This means that they say your site is SEO ready on their services, but they can't explain what they're actually optimizing. This is super common for web designers who do not have SEO training. If a designer can't talk through how your headings are going to be structured, how the pages are mapped out for search intent, how you are internally linking things or why you're internally linking things, how the site is meant to grow over time, then you don't have an SEO strategy. What you have is a web platform that can handle SEO strategy, not that it's actually built within your site. It's a buzzword, and it typically means that people are only filling in your SEO title and meta description on each page, which is the bare minimum. Quick side note reminder, your SEO title and meta description is what shows up on Google when you find your web page. So again, if you're searching your name, or if you're searching one of the keywords you're targeting, it's like, the blue line is your SEO title, the description underneath is your meta description. In 2026, SEO ready is basically meaningless if you don't dig deeper into what it means. Especially in the age of AI, schema code is going to become more and more important, which means you need SEO technical expertise. Average web designer is not going to know what that is. And again, just those who don't have SEO training, which is actually the majority of web designers that I run across. So here's the truth. If someone can't walk you through why they're structuring your site a certain way for SEO, and that's what you want to hire in a web designer, then that's a problem. If your web designer isn't hired to include SEO, fine. But don't ignore this essential step before launch. It means you're going to have to hire for it separately and potentially backtrack on some of your design. So ideally, they're working hand in hand. I've seen sites where headings were used purely for visual styling, and I've seen pages with multiple H1s because the designer doesn't know better. I've seen no distinction between what a homepage is responsible for ranking versus a service page. Google and AI don't guess about what your site is about. It reads structure. And when structure is unclear, rankings get unstable. So here's what you can do today. Before you hire your next designer, ask your designer to explain, not just promise, how your site will be understood by search engines. If the answer is vague, that's the information you need. Ask what's included for SEO. Hint, it should be more than 2 bullet points. Ask what do they work with outside SEO strategists if they don't have that technical expertise themselves? You could even ask how they learned SEO. So red flag number 2, design before keywords and search intent. This one is huge, and this is, again, depending on how you approach it, you could be hiring a separate copywriter. Most likely the copywriter will have this covered. If they don't, that's also a red flag. But red flag number 2, your designer designs pages before talking about keywords or search intent, or they don't seem to have researched backed up copy. So let me be clear. If your web designer isn't hired for copy, then your copywriter needs to be doing this, or you need to be doing this if you're planning on doing your own copy. Search visibility doesn't start with aesthetics. It starts with what people are actually searching for, how many pages you truly need, what each page is responsible for ranking. For example, I just took a business owner out of Chicago who does custom frames. He had a 1-page website, which was fine to start, but you're not going to get a ton of organic traffic that way because you're limiting the amount of words that you can rank for. Generally, each web page has one primary keyword that they are targeting. There may be secondary keywords, there may be related keywords, but in general, you have one primary keyword that you are targeting. If you have a 1-page website, that means you have one target besides your business name. It doesn't give you a lot of opportunity to show up in search. So not only is it nice to have 3 to 5 page website at a minimum for core pages, but that is why I continue to recommend blog strategy even in the age of AI. Design should support your strategy, not dictate it. With all of my web design clients, we actually start with SEO keyword analysis, copy, brand voice. I have them approve all of that, and then after that's approved, I get to do the design. Design is my last step, not my first. Earlier in my own business, I didn't fully understand how imperative it was, and my search traffic paid the price, which is why I'm so passionate about it today. And obviously, I'm so passionate about it because I see the results that I'm getting my clients. But what I've learned, especially through SEO, is that layout. I'm interrupting this episode because if you have Google Search Console and Google Analytics set up, but don't actually know what you're looking at or what it means, then this is for you. Or if you have a website, but the terms sound like Greek, then this is definitely for you. My SEO Tools Monitoring Guide walks you through step by step how to set up, connect, and most importantly, read your Google data so you can actually tell if your website is performing. No tech overwhelm, no vanity metrics. I show you exactly what to look for inside Google Search Console and Google Analytics, what those numbers mean, and how to use them to make smarter decisions without needing to be an SEO expert. If you want clarity instead of guessing, if you want instructions without having to ask your friend Chad, then start here. You can grab the guide at buypwdesigns.com/SEO-monitoring-tools or linked in the show notes. Now back to the show. Layout comes first, strategy gets boxed in. I've seen designers create gorgeous one-page layouts for businesses that actually need 5 distinct pages to rank properly, exactly what I just talked about. I've seen services lumped together because separating them felt too busy. And I've seen clients get immediate results when we launch because we've done it right. I've also seen freebies as a simple opt-in on a resource page, which means they will get 0 chance of getting found organically. For example, I just found out one of my clients has a simple self-care quiz. And their quiz homepage literally has no copy on it besides the name. Like, how do you expect Google to care about that page if there is no content or importance or quality around it? Like, in today's age, quality is so important that you cannot just have a web page with a title and the freebie. It's not going to get seen unless you're directing traffic there, like, on your own. So before design begins, what you should know, what pages you need, what each page is meant to rank for, who the page is speaking to, what the copy is saying in the clear header structure, and then everything builds on that. Now, red flag number 3, treating SEO as a setup, not a system. SEO is something that happens at launch, but it also happens ongoing. If SEO is pitched as, we'll optimize it as it goes live, we'll add the basics, or you can blog later, fine, but you also need to know that SEO is ongoing, it's content connected, it's data informed, and it's built to evolve with your business. Your website should be designed to grow with you with new services, new content, new search opportunities. And this is where I see the biggest disconnect between design and long-term growth. A site launches and there's nowhere for it to go. So I give all of my SEO clients and web design clients a document of recommendations on how to continue to grow. I don't walk them into an SEO retainer, although I have that option. I give them tools to take ownership. Now, I'm in the beginning stages of a full resource library, so all clients, regardless of when they join me, will get access to it in 2026 to fully confidently step into managing their own website and know how to continue to grow. But they still have to implement it on their own. If you do not implement the SEO recommendations, and if you do not continue to maintain your site will drop off in traffic if you do not continuously update it. So it is something that should be focused on, even if it's quarterly. Make sure you're asking your web designer, how does this site continue to grow with me? And if the answer is unclear, then you need to make sure you have a strategy yourself. So again, I want to pause here for a second and say this clearly. If you've already launched a site and you're realizing some of this applies, you didn't do anything wrong. You just didn't know what questions to ask. Most business owners don't know what to ask, which is why I believe it's the web designer's responsibility or the copywriters to help educate. This episode isn't about blame, it's about awareness. You're allowed to slow down. You're allowed to ask for clarity. You're allowed to want strategy before aesthetics. But also, you're allowed to want a site that's also gorgeous. And that doesn't make you behind, it makes you thoughtful. I just got an inquiry today from a client who is a local SEO client, meaning her services are local. It's home organization. You're going to have to be within her service area. I looked at her site. She inquired about SEO. I looked at her website. Literally, I can't even tell where she is. So if I can't tell, and I've read the entire site, I can tell you Google can't tell. They can tell you you're not getting inquiries because You haven't told anyone where you're actually located. Now, that's an obvious explanation, but I mean, I see it a lot. So if you only remember 3 things from this episode, then let it be SEO ready needs an explanation. You need to clearly ask what is included and if they are an SEO strategist. And if they're not, then you need to consider hiring separately for it, either before launch or after, but it might mean you have to go back and make updates and repeat some work. Structure tells Google what you do. So your header structure needs to be there. Your schema tags need to be there. All of that is essential to being search ready. And SEO is a system, it's not a moment. So if you want to ask your web designer questions about their SEO inclusion, here's some questions that I would ask. 1, how will you decide what keywords my web page ranks for? What you're listening for is mentions of search intent, page responsibility, not we'll see what fits or we'll keep it simple. Another red flag answer is we'll usually do a homepage and a services page and then optimize from there. Question number 2, how do you structure headings so Google understands my site? What you're clearly listening for is the header tags H1, H2, H3. Not just, it should be one primary topic per page and then structures that support humans and search engines. Red flag answer is we use headings for design and it doesn't affect SEO anymore. An example of this is Squarespace. Huge issue on Squarespace and very common. Number 3, when do keywords and search intent come into the process? What you're listening for is keywords discussed before, during site planning, not an afterthought. It should be in alignment with copy and design. And if you are doing the copy yourself, you do need to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success. So a red flag answer would be we do design first and then add keywords later, or they don't mention keywords at all, or they leave copy up to you and they don't ask if you've optimized. Again, you need to be doing it separately then. Number 4, how will I know if my site is actually performing on Google? What you're listening for is that they have set up your Google Search Console, that they've set up your Google Analytics, and a clear explanation of the fact that you will be set up for success. If they do not set that up for you, you need to know that, and then you need to set it up yourself. Again, it's not necessary that all web designers have to do this, but they need to tell you what they are and are not doing so you know what your responsibility is. And if that feels overwhelming, then just hire an SEO strategist who is also a web designer like myself. Number 5, how will you handle image alt text and what role does it play in SEO and accessibility? What you're listening for is alt text is written intentionally, not not ignored. That descriptions support accessibility and search context, that it's awareness that, alt text helps Google understand page content, not just images. Side note, you should also ask the web designer if they check for accessibility upon launch. Red flag answers would include we don't usually add alt text unless it's requested. It's not necessary anymore. The platform handles it automatically. You're protecting your investment. A designer who truly understands SEO will welcome these questions and answer them clearly. Or clearly disclose that they are not an SEO strategist and that you are welcome to hire outside for that. And if listening to this made you realize that you're not totally sure how your site is performing or whether Google even understands it, then I have a simple place for you to start. My SEO Monitoring Tools Guide walks you through how to set up and read Google Search Console and Google Analytics so you're not guessing. You don't need to be an SEO expert, you just need to show and know what your site is actually showing you. So I'll leave you with this. Your website isn't a design project, it's an ecosystem. And when it's built with intention, it should protect what you've actually built, not reset it. If this kind of honest, grounded conversation helps you make better decisions in your business, then make sure you've subscribed so you don't miss out what's coming next. I hope you take this for what it's worth, and that is your bestie just trying to look out for you. And I will see you back here on Coffee and Conversions. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Coffee and Conversions. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate every single person who listened. If this episode helped you think differently about your business, I'd love if you left a rating and review or shared it with a friend who's running a business alongside you, because community is everything. It's the easiest way to help this podcast reach more women who want a strategy that actually works. You can find links, resources, and anything mentioned in today's episode in the show notes. For more tools, services, and behind-the-scenes strategy, head over to buypwdesigns.com. And if you want to peek into my real life, cover job, non-life, running a business, and really just like the true me, you can find me at Instagram over at julie.pwdesigns, and I hang out there most days. Until next time, keep on building intentionally, and I will see you back here at Coffee and Conversions. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Coffee and Conversions. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate every single person who listens. If this episode helped you think differently about your business, I'd love if you left a rating and review or shared it with a friend who's running a business alongside you, because community is everything. It's the easiest way to help this podcast reach more women who want a strategy that actually works. You can find links, resources, and anything mentioned in today's episode in the show notes. For more tools, services, and behind-the-scenes strategy, head over to buypwdesigns.com. And if you want to peek into my real life, cover job, mom life, running a business, and really just like the true me, you can find me at Instagram over at julie.pwdesigns, and I hang out there most days. Until next time, keep on building intentionally, and I will see you back here at Coffee and Conversions.